Cut 195 2-inch squares from Quilter's cotton fabric. Okay, so to prepare for chain piecing, we need 13 piles from the design board. So this is just flannel, and the quilting fabric just easily sticks to it. So I've got it just how I want it, and we are going to be careful to keep our squares in the same direction as we make our piles. And the clip will go on the top, and the number will be oriented in the position that the design should be in. So we're just going to start from the first row, from the top, and then put the second and third underneath, keeping that first one on the top, go all the way down. Like so. Number 1 for first row, and then clip the top. And we're going to go ahead and do that with all of our piles. All right. Take row 1 and 2 and set them to the right of your machine, and undo the clips. And the first pile is row 1, the second pile is row 2. We do not rotate them or move them out of the orientation that they're in. The top is at the top. Then we are going to take one piece from the left, one piece from the right, flip it over, the proper orientation, line it up, so 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay. So we are not going to cut. Just sew a little bit past and continue on. Next piece from the left, piece from the right, keeping the orientation the same. Right sides together. 1/4 inch seam allowance. So a little past, so that we have about 1/4 inch of thread. We're going to keep everything attached. We don't cut those strings. Start back at the top. Open up the first 2 pieces. And keep the orientation with the top at the top. Don't turn your pile to the side. Always keep the top at the top. Right sides together, line up. Keeping all of the pieces attached. No snipping the thread.
rows on a pressing board with seams facing up, press the first row with seams folded over in the same direction. Then lay a pressing cloth on the first pressed row to keep the seams tidy while pressing the next row. Press those seams in the opposite direction. Carry on repeating the process. Now it's time to sew the rows together. Lay the rows against each other with the seams going to the left and to the right so they're butted up right next to each other. You can cut the threads before you do that and also pin if you like. And stitch with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, just like we were for the other pieces. quilt down with seams facing up and press them all over to the same side. I'm using flannel for the backing and for the batting. So place the backing down with the patterned side facing downward. With the batting, it doesn't matter either way, facing up or down, because it's just going to be on the inside. Be careful to choose something that doesn't really show through. If you're using a patterned flannel for the batting, sometimes that pattern will show through onto your quilt top. Now place the quilt top with the top facing up. Trim up the edges a little bit, leaving about an inch extra. Then use pins to secure into place, going through all 3 layers. I'm pinning every other square. I've decided to quilt diagonally. I'm going to first do all the rows going in this direction, removing the pins as I go, and I want to sew onto the backing and the batting. Everything looks good. Now we're going to sew in the opposite direction. I'm using about a 3mm stitch length. Quilt is 19.5 by 22.5 inches. So 19.5 times 2 is 39, and 22.5 times 2 is 45. 39 plus 45 is 84 inches. Add about 15 to 20 extra inches in length for binding. So I have about 100 inches plus some. My binding strips are 2.5 inches wide. We're joining them together with a diagonal seam. Trim off the extra, leaving about 1/4 inch, and snip off the dog ears, and press the seams open. Now fold your binding in half with the pretty side facing outward, the pattern side. Square up your quilt, trimming off all the extra batting. Binding down, leaving 5 to 10 inches unsewn. Stop about 1/4 inch before the corner. This is a bit tricky to describe, so let's give it a shot. So I'm going to take the binding and fold it up so that the raw edge is straight with the raw edge of the quilt, and then the folded edge is lined up straight with the top. And then we're going to sew that down and continue all the way around the quilt until we get to the very last edge. Here you can clearly see where we've left the tails, the excess binding that isn't sewn down. And we can snip off a little bit of that using it for a measurement for the overlap. So we're gonna trim it down and then we're gonna sew on a diagonal just like we did when we were sewing the binding pieces together. This is why you need a lot of slack that isn't sewn down so you can maneuver it properly under your sewing machine. Sides facing together, we're sewing these two pieces exactly the same way we did on the binding. Trim the excess fabric, leaving about 1/4 of an inch, and then cut off the dog ears. Finger press the seam open. Now finish sewing the rest of the binding that we just connected. Turn the binding over and smooth out the mitered corners. You can iron this, or you can just go right for it like I did. I wasn't too worried about perfection with this doll quilt, but thinking about it, I kind of wish I did iron it down. And also, if you want, you can cut your binding 2 1/4 inches wide, because as you can see, we have a lot of extra length on the front. So we're just sewing the binding down on the far left edge, making sure to catch that mitered corner. So when we finish up this edge of the quilt, you've got to sew a few stitches onto the fold there and then turn. I'm okay with how my binding came out, but I do kind of wish I used 2 1/4 inches. Also, you can leave a little extra batting if you want your binding to be wider but you don't want it to cover too much of your finished pieces. This little doll quilt came out just great. If I can do it, you can too. Give it a try.